Hey there, YouTube world. Sloan Moose here. What you're looking at here is my Danby, D-A-N-B-Y, Kegerator that I bought back in 2007 when I lived in Charlestown, West Virginia. And in 2008 moved it to Pointed Rocks, Maryland. And in 2013 moved it down here to Texas. Now in 2020, I'm planning on moving up to Alaska in the next year or two. And this thing's 13 years old. It still works, still cools like a champ. But I've decided that this is not going to make the move. Number one, because of my celiac, and I can't drink beer anymore. Or at least I'm not supposed to. And number two, I don't know how well it would survive getting shipped in a 40-foot shipping container. So I'm going to make a few videos here about this thing and some of the things I've done to it. For those of you who are either home brewers and want to just use a kegerator like this rather than making a keezer, or just for anybody who has a kegerator and wants to maybe upgrade it a little bit, if you will. Now, when I bought this kegerator, it came with a single tap tower. Now, as you can see here, I have a 3-tap tower on this little baby doll. I also had a 2-tap tower. Now, there's two different ways that you can go about getting beer into this thing. You can buy commercial kegs, either the 5-gallon kegs that are called a sixtle, or a half a keg, which is a 15-gallon keg, or I think they make a pony, which is somewhere in between the two. I've never bought kegs, so I really don't know. The other option is, home brewers. We use what are called Korny kegs. These are kegs that either Pepsi or Coke used to use for transporting their syrup. Then after they'd been used so many times, they'd sell them off to the home brewing industry. And these are 5-gallon kegs as well. Two different kinds. One's called a pin lock and one's called a ball lock. And all the Korny kegs I've had are all ball locks. Plus I bought some commercial sixtle 5-gallon kegs. And I'll show you how you can convert these, your setup, from the Korny keg over to a commercial keg. Now, I want to kind of just walk through the process here a little bit of how I made these modifications. This is part of my setup that I use for cleaning the beer lines. The first thing you want to use is beverage system cleaner. And this is a concentrate. You buy it online from brew supply houses. I got it locally here in San Antonio at Home Brew Party. It's a concentrate. You mix it at half an ounce of the concentrate per gallon of water, or per quart of water. So this is a 2.5-gallon Korny keg, and this is what I'm using to do my flush of the system. And when you look down at the top of the Korny keg, you'll see that you have, this is an inline. This is where your gas comes in. This will be a gray connector. This is your out, where the beer or whatever the fluid is comes out of the keg and into the tap. This will always be black. This is how you get in and out of the container itself. And right now you can probably see there's some of the cleaner mixed up down in there. But with this rubber gasket on there, it really seals up tight. And you just drop it back in, turn it. You don't want to get that down in there. That's what happens when you're trying to do this with one hand and hold the camera with one hand. Alright, there we go. Now, pull this up tight. Snap it down. There's also a pressure relief valve on here. And you'll see when I'm doing my flush, and I use CO2 to power the fluid from this keg in through the beer lines and into a waste container. So you'll get to see that. Alright, I told you that I would give you a close-up of the connector, and this is essentially the same both for gas and for liquid, but you see how you've got the threaded end on there. That lets you use the nut coupler and you can tighten it down. But when I'm ready to switch out and go to the Sankey D, and you'll see that in another video, you basically just loosen the nut, take it off, put this aside, get your Sankey connector, hook your liquid line up to that, your gas line up to the gas connector. They're all threaded, and boom, you're ready to charge your system and enjoy. I'm going to walk you through the steps in the process I use for cleaning out these beer lines from time to time. Now, I'm using my bigger CO2 tank to power this. Here is my little 2.5 gallon Korny keg and the Kegerator. So the way that you do this, remember I said that all gas connections are gray. It is gray. It may look white on here, but it is actually gray. And it goes on the in connector with these ball locks. Yep, too close. You can see how that works. That's how it gives you your seal. So you just, boom. Now you have seal. And I'm going to clean the right line. So let me find the center. Alright, this is the connector for the right line. I put it on here. Do the same. When you hear that snap, then it's good. I know that the tank is turned on by looking at my gauges. Take the control on the bottom of my regulator, open that up, and you can hear it's pressurizing the tank. Come up here and put you a container to be able to collect the fluid. Turn this on. And it's, yeah, you can see it. It's flowing in there. So what it does is that cleaner goes through and kills any bacteria that's in the line. Now I'm going to let this run through, and then when I do turn it off, I will dump the used fluid down, rinse out my Kegerator, rinse out my keg, and fill it with just clean water, and I'll rinse out all 3 of the lines, and so you'll be able to see that. And it's about to the point of being, boom. Turn it off. Come back here to the regulator. Turn the gas pressure off. All right, remember I mentioned the pressure relief valve. That's right here. We're going to turn it 90 degrees. What that does, bleeds off the pressure in the tank. Disconnect your lines. And then you'll be able to open the tank. If you didn't do that, you would not be able to open this tank. You think 10 to 15 pounds of pressure is not much. It really is. So I will be back in a minute when I get clean water in here, and I'll show you the rinsing process. I have rinsed out the keg. I filled it with just clean water. So again, I'm going to go through the process. Gas, gray, or it looks white here on the viewfinder, goes on the inside. IN, not inside. I am going to continue to stay with the right, just like I did a few minutes ago with the rinsing. Pop that down. Turn the gas on. Let it pressurize. And you'll know when it's pressurized. You'll hear it. Come up here. I've got my container ready to catch. And basically I run this through. Now I'll run maybe a little over a half a gallon out of each one. And in the end, I just leave the clean water in there. And as long as it's closed here at the tap, and it's sealed off at the connector down below. No bacteria can get into it. I'm using water from a whole house water filtration softener system, so there should be no bacteria in the water, and your system should be good till you're ready to use it. When you're ready to use it, you just hook up your Kegerator, Kreg to it. You're going to waste the first few ounces that come out to get the water all out of the line. Then you're ready to go. Alright, that was the right. And now, just for sake of showing you, I'll continue on. I can get that in there, yeah. And I'll do the left. So disconnect. See, you don't lose any pressure out of there. So this one is left. It makes it so much easier if you tape and identify them, so you don't go through trial and error. Turn it on. You can hear it. You should be able to see it here in a minute when it gets some in the bottom. These are 2.5 gallon containers, so I can get more in there. Turn that off. Come down and we will switch to center. Center. Connect. This one is a little more challenging. And you can hear it running in. So what we've done is essentially a wash of the inside of the beer lines. Make sure you don't have any bacteria or crud growing in there. Come back and run a clean water flush through it so that you've got clean water setting in the lines, and you're ready to hook up your kegs. You just waste that first few ounces to get rid of that water, and you're ready to enjoy some good beer.